Hello, everyone, and welcome into Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet, presented to you by Betway. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog, joined alongside by Adam Peddle. We got transactions, everybody. Who would have thunk that here and now, closing in on December, the most active team by a mile would be the LA Angels. They just made another big-time signing, everybody. We're going to talk about that, what that means for them, what that means for the MLB. Big-time signing for them, dude.
It's huge. This is good. This is their Super Bowl right now.
Could honestly be. Or who knows? Maybe with those winter meetings coming up, like more moves are coming, which is a great transition to what we are also going to be talking about today. Winter meetings are on the horizon, and there is a big-time report from Bob Nightingale breaking down effectively every rumor that is transpiring right now on this MLB free agency. We're going to hear about Juan Soto. We're going to hear about Max Fried. We're going to hear about a Nolan Arenado trade. So much stuff to discuss in this one. Adam, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm glad that we're finally starting to speed up a little bit here, because it feels like in this MLB offseason, we kind of went into this little lull. You know, everyone kind of fell asleep, but not the LA Angels. They know exactly who they are. And honestly, I got to give them a little bit of credit. You know, I said to you off camera, I'm like, man, like what a crap team going out and make all these crappy moves. But you know what? At least they know they're a crappy team, and that these are the kind of moves that they're gonna make, right?
Sure.
They go out and they get Yusei Kikuchi for a 3-year, $63 million deal. And to put it in perspective, that's the exact same contract that Chris Bassett got when he signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. You tell me, would you rather have Chris Bassett when he signed as a free agent or Yusei Kikuchi?
Well, I think Yusei Kikuchi nailed this one.
Oh,
you know, I think
Kikuchi's a winner.
He is a big time winner
chilling
in this one. Yeah, considering the last 3 years that he had, and again, not bad. But you look at the last 3 years from Yusei Kikuchi, when he signed that deal. And he's got a 4.24 ERA over 444 innings, so a relatively healthy period of time where he was mid, but now he's going to be 34. And, you have him for the ages of 34, 35, 36.
Right.
And it's not like he was a world beater in, the last 3 years type thing. So for him to get $63 million, coming in at age 34, that is a massive W for Yusei Kikuchi.
That's the thing, right? He's 34 years old, so 34, 35, 36.
Exactly.
And it's like, is he going to get better?
I
wouldn't think
so, no.
So you're paying him $21 million per year to be a low 4 ERA guy if he stays that way. Because
Seriously,
you also got to consider, we know this personally, being Blue Jay fans, the one really great year he had with Toronto, he reworked everything. He literally made the adjustments of adjustments, reworked everything, and then he became bad again. He couldn't make a readjustment, right? And then what happens when he goes to Houston? They make him readjust there. So in order for Yusei Kikuchi to stay relevant, he's got to continue to adjust from this fastball usage and his curveball usage and his slider usage. When those change, he has success. It's that simple. But if he doesn't do that, he's going to be terrible. So it's all going to be depending on that.
That's the thing. This is one of those deals that I think, again, I really think that Yusei Kikuchi won, because I do believe the LA Angels could be looking back at this in a year from now and going, oh my God, we're paying that guy $21 million.
They won't, Nick. They won't, Nick, because they have bigger, problems. They have Rendon. They're playing a crap load, So, but no, I hear you. That guy's gonna be on the top of their payroll to pitch you a high 4 or a mid to high 4.
Exactly,
maybe,
right. And that's assuming that he continues at the level that he has been at, right? There
right.
could also be a fall off here, and he could go back to 2022 Yusei Kikuchi, which was horrendous, everybody. So you know what? W's in the chat right there for Yusei Kikuchi. I think he did it great. But to circle back to the LA Angels, I mean, I kind of look at the LA Angels, and I know that you're not a big soccer guy type thing, but in the world of soccer, you got all the European leagues, which is where you want to play when you're elite, and then you got the American League, and usually
what do you call it?
MLS, Major League Soccer, right? And MLS is getting better, but for the longest period of time, it was when you turn, 36, 37, and you're not playing at the highest level anymore in Europe, let's just go over to MLS and get a payday.
Talking about Messi right now?
I'm talking about everybody. This was a long time thing. So many different guys did this, and they are still doing it today. But it feels like the LA Angels are that team for MLB, where it's like when you're just getting up there in age and you're not really playing super good, but you want one final payday, come retire over here with LA.
You got Rendon retiring over there, Kikuchi retiring over there, Darno's going to retire over there. It's very good. I looked at LA two halves, right? You got, like the retirement home, great weather, LA Angels, just a mile outside the big cities, so a little bit quieter. It's very nice for those guys. And then you look over at the other side of LA, and you got the Hollywood stars, the Dodgers.
We're still winning over there.
We're winning. We're in our prime. We're A-listers over here. So two different sides of LA. Which one are you going to be on, right? I mean, hey, I wouldn't even be mad if I'm Yusei Kikuchi. You went. Now it's your third team in the MLB. His whole MLB career, he's got a 4.70 or 4.57 ERA. Excuse me. Like, you're not amazing.
No.
You've had a 4.1 WAR over 6 seasons.
No, I mean the fact that Yusei Kikuchi is going to finish off his MLB career making more than $100 million.
That's very good.
With a 4.5 ERA, and let's face it, that ERA, when it's all said and done, could get significantly worse than that. If he's on the LA Angels and pitching at age 36 type thing. So it could be worse than that. To make over $100 million as like the middest of mid pitcher. I mean, again, like hats off to you. Credit where credit is due.
Right.
Well done, Yusei Kikuchi. And also, I know like I'm slamming him a little bit, but dude, like I love Yusei. I think he's a phenomenal person. I do wish him the best. I hope that like he continues to be competitive, because he really did find it in Houston.
He did
at the end of last year. So I hope that continues for him. I hope that things work out for the LA Angels. But it does feel like like you said off the top, they picked their guys right at the beginning. They decided we're going to go for those mid-tier to below average kind of free agents. We're going to get them, and that's going to be that.
Hey, to their credit, like think about the guys that they added. They did actually, we forget about this, they traded for Soler.
Yeah.
They traded for Soler. They signed Kyle Hendricks. They signed Yusei Kikuchi. They also added Travis d'Arnaud, and I think like Kyle Farmer, but like whatever, Kyle Farmer. I mean, like, you got a couple of interesting names, right? And I always think about rebuilding years, throughout the league with the throughout my time with the Toronto Blue Jays. And I'm like, you always went out and got a couple interesting guys to keep it interesting, fill up the seats. Maybe you can sell some merchandise of Yusei Kikuchi and, a couple bobbleheads and feel good about it, Man,
but this is what I mean when we're talking about like the retirement home right here. You know, like, be honest. Is Kyle Hendricks, are the best years of Kyle Hendricks behind him?
Way gone.
Jorge Soler. Are the best years of Jorge Soler probably behind him?
Maybe there's a couple in there. You never know.
Going to be 33 this coming year,
Maybe hit a couple. Maybe it's another 30 home run season,
Maybe.
You could do that.
It's not impossible, but I would argue that more likely than not, probably we've seen the best of him. Obviously, Yusei Kikuchi, probably Travis d'Arnaud. It really does feel like we're just scooping up all the old vets right here, and they can still play. Like, they can still play. Just, is this going to win you a whole lot more ball games? I personally don't think so.
No. I think, all those other guys, I think they're only on one-year deals. I don't know about Jorge Soler's deal, what he has still left. But, Yusei Kikuchi is the only longer-term deal that really has some implication. So I was kind of like in the camp, like, they're getting all these Band-Aid guys that have somewhat of names that we can kind of rally behind. But this is the first one where it's like, okay, this might hurt you a little bit. Maybe don't hurt yourself. Try to rebuild. Like, don't do this.
Later down the line, I'm looking at Jorge Soler right now. He's a free agent in 2027, so they actually have him for a couple more seasons. 3 years for $42 million, so it's not like he's getting paid like a crazy amount here. So again, like that's not one that's going to sink your franchise or anything, but I mean maybe it will if he's batting like 200 and striking out more times than not, which could, again, that is in the range of outcomes here.
They probably have a couple other guys that do that as well, so they're like, what's the difference?
They do, but you know what, LA Angels right now the most active team by far this postseason or this offseason, excuse me. But that could change very quickly, guys. This article from Bob Nightingale, great article. Go check it out. Maybe we'll even put the link in the description here if you guys want to read it yourselves. But it looks at everything. And right now we are gearing up for what is going to be what people are assuming to be one of the more active winter meetings that we have seen in years. There's a quote right here from a prominent agent saying it's not going to be like a year ago when the winter meetings were an embarrassment. Nothing happened. This year is different. Everyone is much more aggressive, or at least they're acting like it. So we are gearing up to have a stretch of a couple days there at the beginning of December that's going to be hot.
Well, even right before the winter meetings last year, like there was there was a couple moves here and there, and then you had like the Juan Soto trade happening. So at least there was like some pretty major things going on that need to fall in place. It feels like everyone's waiting for the winter meetings to fall in place, and specifically with Juan Soto, right? Like, obviously we know that's the big kind of domino for a lot of these teams to fall first before they go out and make all these other moves, right? A little update on the Juan Soto sweepstakes. So he is expected to sign, not super late into the offseason like a Bryce Harper or Manny Machado when they waited until spring training. That would kill me if that was the case.
That would suck.
Oh, that would absolutely suck ass. But it won't be like that. So they're hoping it'll happen a little bit sooner, maybe December, maybe early January is kind of like the buzz around a lot of different MLB insiders, what they're thinking. And Bob says here there's only really 4 teams that are in on this. It's going to be the Mets, the Yankees, the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Boston Red Sox. And he says, like, the Dodgers, and I thought this too, the Dodgers won a World Series without Juan Soto. Like, he could argue they don't, which is crazy to say, they don't need Juan Soto.
They don't need
to spend $700 million to get another guy.
No, they definitely don't need him. It would be amazing if they got him. But yeah, you're right. They don't need him. I think that we can all agree that the 4 teams that you just listed right there, certainly the need to have him on their team is much more than Juan Soto. Now, Aaron Judge was saying that the need is pretty great. He was coming out and he was talking about this kind of like making his pitch to Juan Soto. Now, he has said that he has not been in communication with him because he wanted to give him time. Yeah. But during the season, like, he was talking with him pretty much every day, saying, like, listen, dude, like, we gonna make this happen. You know? We gotta keep you here.
Yeah, and the pitch he was making was to the management. Like, he literally went and talked to the management like a week after the Fall Classic. And I get it. If I'm Aaron Judge, and there's quotes of him talking about this in this article by Brian Hoach. You had a significantly better year with Juan Soto batting in front of you. Why do you think that is, right? Well, he says it in here. He's getting a lot more pitches hit. Juan Soto works the pitcher for 8, 9, 10 pitches, works a walk. Now they got to go to the stretch. Now they're not as accurate. They're a little bit tired after unloading the absolute tank on Juan Soto. And they got to face you and be more careful. You're going to get a few more mistake pitches, and it showed in his stats, hitting a lot more home runs this year. So if I'm Darren Judge, I need Juan Soto to have success in my career.
Well, of course. And that's not to say, like, let's be clear, right? Like, Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs without Juan Soto in front of him, so he doesn't need him to be successful, but it will obviously help the Yankees, I think, to win more ball games later down the line.
Yeah, I think, after the 62 home run season, like, people were avoiding him a lot more, and that showed in the previous year when he had literally no protection behind him, no protection in front of him, and people were like, well, let's just not give a shit about you, throw your sliders in the dirt, and then that's what led to this chasing and having a little down year for Judge when he still hit a bunch of home runs.
Still a great season, but ultimately, like, having those two guys together is what made the Yankees go this year, right? And they know that. They know, Aaron Judge knows that. The Yankee fans know that. Now, Soto, he had all these meetings with everybody, and it was kind of like the initial pitch. Apparently, we're going to get the offers on the table this week. The teams were coming out and they were talking about how it's like, now we're going to get the offer, so all the money is going to be coming in. I saw this the other day because they had their kind of like this is our plan meeting, which, we heard that, apparently everybody impressed Juan Soto. Sure, everyone's going to hear that. This week is the week that the offer, the money, is going to hit the table.
Okay, I'm excited for that, man. That's going to be dope. Okay, so if it is just going to be those 4 teams, I think, that are going to be throwing out offers. People were saying that the Phillies were going to be involved. I even saw, like, posts, and here's a Blue Jay fans. I'm like, meh, like, why am I not getting involved in these posts? They were doing, like, which lineup would be the greatest MLB with Juan Soto, and they had the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, and then they had the Phillies. And I was like, then there's no Blue Jays, Yeah.
Well, because we would not be the greatest.
It would be Bo. It would be Bo, who batted .597, and then OPS, and then Vlad, and then him. I mean, it still looks sexy, but whatever. But the point is, the Phillies were on there, and I'm like, that would be a pretty good lineup. But apparently, the Philadelphia Phillies haven't even had one conversation with Juan Soto. So if they miss those initial meetings and those conversations of the contracts are going to come out this week, you're behind.
Yeah.
It looks like you're out, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to sign Juan Soto, then you got to be all the way in, and the Phillies are not all the way in. Maybe they'll give them a call later down the line, but I think that they have their sights set on other players, which is, again, very, very fair. Like, they have an offense already that is more than capable of of taking them all the way. Would it be great with Juan Soto? Sure. But if I was them, like, continue to focus on that bullpen. Like, you finally had a good bullpen for a little while right now. Make sure that is still the way of it for next year. Maybe grab another starting pitcher. I know that you have, like, 2 incredible elites, but, one of those guys goes down, you're a very, very different team. I think the Philadelphia Phillies will be very fine without Juan Soto, and I think they know that, and they're gonna put their, I guess, money or investment into some other different players.
Yeah, I personally thought the Philadelphia Phillies, and it's a shame they really didn't go that far last year. I thought they were like the most complete team of any team in all of baseball.
Sure.
From looking from starting pitching standpoint, they had 4 very strong starting pitchers. The lineup, like you mentioned, is absolutely complete.
Top
as hell.
to bottom, great.
Top to bottom, great lineup. Defense, it's a little shaky, but I'd sacrifice that because you still had a great bullpen last year as well. Where I looked over at the LA Dodgers, awesome lineup. Rotation, as we know, had a lot of question marks, and the bullpen was good. But that was a big thing, right? Like they were the most complete, healthy team, and it didn't end up working. It's unfortunate. So for me, and they still got a lot of those guys coming back next year.
Yeah,
for me, just roll the dice again.
No, I think you pick up a couple good players. Again, you don't need to spend over $100 million on several different guys. I think you'll be fine if you just Yusei Kikuchi is a good example. If you were to bring in somebody like a Yusei Kikuchi, obviously he's off the table now, but somebody of that caliber, put that in the rotation. That's what I'm thinking for the Philadelphia Phillies. Whereas if you are the New York Yankees, if you are the Toronto Blue Jays, going out and getting Juan Soto is crucial. Now, the Yankees, we have heard about their backup plan. Because, again, they know, well, if we don't get Juan Soto, we don't want to be completely out of this race entirely. We don't want to just be dead in the water. So they do have a bit of a backup plan. Bob Nightingale detailed it pretty well right here. I'm trying to find it.
I think it's right at the bottom, number 9, I'm going to say.
Their backup plan?
Yeah. If the New York Yankees don't sign Juan Soto.
Yeah, okay. So listen to this, guys. Now, this is their backup plan. There's a lot of hoops that they would need to jump through. So if they do not sign Juan Soto, apparently the plan that's floating around right now is, for starters, they go out, they get Christian Walker. And you know what? Honestly, if you get Juan Soto, you probably should be trying to get Christian Walker anyways, because who is playing first base for you? I don't know now that Anthony Rizzo is gone.
Oh, who's that one guy that came up? He was good for a bit. I don't know. Just a guy.
Couldn't tell you. But Christian Walker would probably be better than whoever it is that you currently have. So they want to go out and get that guy. Then it's either you sign Willy Adames or you sign Alex Bregman. They want to get one of those guys. So initially we're getting Christian Walker. Let's say we're getting Willy Adames. That's one. That's two.
$200 million right there.
Yeah, maybe more than that even.
Yeah.
Then you're going to move Jazz Chisholm Jr. over to second base, which is a good. You got, again, something that you should probably be doing anyways, even if you get Juan Soto. And then you're thinking about going out and trading for Cody Bellinger. Now, this is a wild thing because Cody Bellinger's contract is kind of through the roof for what it is that you're getting in return. But who knows? They're going to roll the dice to the New York Yankees. Maybe they get lucky. And on top of all of that, then they go out and they sign one of the 3 biggest pitchers in either Corbin Burnes, Max Fried, or Blake Snell. What do you think of the New York Yankees backup plan?
I mean, the New York Yankees, so nothing. I'll never put anything past them. That is like $400 million you're now adding. But again, I'll never put anything past them. They could do it. It's a lot. I mean, you're just, if that is the rumored plan, like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Sounds like I'm playing MLB The Show right now. I'm just going to go and get all these things. It's a lot to ask for. I'm not shocked because I shouldn't be shocked by the New York Yankees, but they're going to add another rotation arm.
I get it. I do get it.
You got Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon. You got Luis Heel now. You got Marcus Stroman, and then you had Schmidt, and then there's another guy they have, and it's kind of I'm blanking. Cortez. Yeah, and you're gonna add another guy. I'm like, I guess why the hell not if you're the New York Yankees? Yeah, I mean, if they do that, I think they'll be all the way back.
Well, if they were to get every single one of those players.
Absolutely,
sure,
right? Because then you're thinking about sure, they're not going to be as equally protecting as a Juan Soto, but you go throw up, here's the thing: you could put up people behind Aaron Judge right now. You can still flip the script, right? A Christian Walker, Willie could play in front, he steals some bags too, but Alex Bregman could play, 2 or 4. You can just fill up that whole lineup around Alex Bregman. You add 2 guys, you're protecting them on both ends right now, effectively, which is a good idea. And you add Cody Bellinger, maybe, you throw him in the middle. Yeah, that's fine. Turn Juan Soto into 3 dudes.
Well,
that'd be great.
Honestly, like I still think that getting Juan Soto back would be better for the long term because assuming like I know that we had that whole thing come out about like his opt-outs and all that shit. I don't know, you saw that, right?
Oh yeah, where he wants like a 3 or 4 year deal.
So he was talking about how it's like, well, after 3 years, I want an opt-out, and then after 4 years, I want another opt-out. Assuming there is no opt-outs, because that gets very complicated.
Yeah.
It still is better in the long term to get Juan Soto because then you have a guy that you got there forever. But in the short term, just to win next year to get over that hump, I could argue that if the choice was Juan Soto or Christian Walker, Willie Adames, Max Fried, Cody Bellinger, I think to win in the short term, it might be, option B right there. Get all those different players, right, to help Aaron Judge, to help the pitching staff, to help the defense, to help everything. Still in the long term, though, Juan Soto, but this is a good backup plan if you could, of course, get everything done.
Because if you do think, we brought this up before, if you do think about it, Aaron Judge's window, how many more years do you have of Aaron Judge? I'd probably say you got like 3 to 5. Like 3 to 5 good solid years. And guess what? You also got 3 to 5 Garrett Cole, right? That's kind of like the cornerstones of your team right there. So if you really want to fill up that window with 3 to 5 year players, there you go. Those are all those guys that could probably play for 3 to 5 to 6 years on your ball team. So I get it because they're also losing. They're also losing Anthony Rizzo. They cut him. They're also going to be losing Alex Verdugo. Gleyber Torres, obviously Juan Soto, and then there's one other guy that there was in the starting lineup in the World Series that losing. There's 5 players in that World Series starting lineup they're losing. So fill it up as much as possible, and with even better players, it'll work out.
Actually, the fact that I brought up the whole contract, let's talk about that a little bit because it got a lot of stir on social media. So the whole deal was Juan Soto's looking for a 12 to 14 year deal, which we kind of already expected. 12 to 14 year deal. At $45 million average annual value. Okay, that's fine. If you do the math for 12 years, that works out to be $540.
That's
great. That's actually, you think about that and you go, oh, well, that's kind of a steal for a guy like Juan Soto.
Right.
It was 14 years, and it would work out to be like, what is that, like 600 something, right? Not bad. Not bad.
Not that much. That's not bad.
Not bad for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Where things get convoluted and complicated, though, is with those opt-outs because he wants an opt-out after year 3, and then also an opt-out after year 4.
Yeah.
And, like, for me, that's kind of crazy because, you could, and this is the thing that I don't like about it, and this is why I think a lot of the analysts were saying, well, teams are not going to want to give him this. Because, you go and you sign Juan Soto, you do this whole thing, and he plays great. Well, you want to build your team around this guy. You want to be able to plan for the future here and know like, okay, well, this is our window. This is what we're doing right here. But if he's playing great, well, after year 3, he's gone.
Right.
It's like he's going to hit free agency again, right? And then if he's playing like shit and he's getting injured, well, then he's going to pick up all the options and then you're stuck with him anyways. It's like it's legitimately the most expensive insurance policy that you could ever ask for if you're Juan Soto. And I just think it's like so hard to, if you're a team, to plan around winning around that because you don't know if you're going to have the best player. You don't know if you're going to have the best player in the league like on your team or not. It's tough.
It's definitely a lot more complicated. I do hear where Soto's coming from because apparently his whole thing is like, I want to make sure I'm on a team that wins. And like that 3 or 4 year opt-out is like, okay, are we a winning team? Because I could see him going to the Toronto. Let's say he goes to Toronto Blue Jays, and it's like, okay, I'm willing to take this risk with the Blue Jays because like maybe they sold me something really good, but I do see the risk here where I could be stuck on this team, and I'm going to suffer here a little bit. Not suffer, you're getting paid $700 million, but still, I didn't. This isn't what I wanted. I was kind of sold false goods. Then I can get out of here. So that's where it's coming from. But it also could work out where if I'm playing really great, I could be selfish here. And I'd be interested to see what kind of contract he'd get at age. Would it be 29 or 30?
Be 29, right?
29
that's
30,
the thing, right?
Yeah, what contract
I think
he'd get.
if he's still playing at the level that he's playing at right now, which I think we're all anticipating he's going to, then could he get another $500 million at age 29? Why not? That's $50 million a year for 10 years.
That's true, yeah.
Right? Probably, right? I think that there is a way for him to make more money by doing it this way if he just keeps playing well.
Yeah. I think as a team, you got to know that too. But you also got to be a good team, right? Because if you're not a good team, he's not going to want to negotiate you during the time that you're with him. But if you're a good team, you're like, okay, I know you're playing good. Let's just get ahead of this right now. Let's give you the money that you want. But if he wants to,
again, that's the thing, right? We're assuming that he isn't. Because when we started all this offseason off, it was all about, well, Juan Soto only cares about the money.
Right,
Juan Soto only cares about the money.
Yeah.
So like if that's still the, again, like maybe the narratives is changing a bit.
Yeah, there's so many people with different narratives.
But if that is actually the truth behind it, then, well, you can't get ahead of it. Because if he's playing real good, he's just going to hit free agency again. And then he's going to do it all over again. And it's going to be like, oh, well, fuck me. Like, what do we do now?
You don't know really what he really wants. Like, he's come out and said, I want a team that wins. So, of course, he's going to say that. And then you have other people saying he just wants money. So, I think there's a bit of both. Of course, there's a bit of both.
I get how he wants to, be on a competitive ball team and all that stuff and whatever. But I would also argue that, like the grass is only greener where, you take the time to water it. And what I mean by that is, like, we need you to be all the way bought in here and, like gunning for and showing that, like, you want to be here and all that stuff. And if you're like kind of, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where it's like, well, I'm only going to stay here if you guys are good and like, doing stuff for me. No, like, we want you to be the leader of this team.
Right.
And like, it's a ride or die thing. So I don't know. For me, like, I just, like, if I was a squad, if I'm about to invest $650 million in you, I want to know that, like, you're just as bought in as I am with this marriage. We are going to make this work.
Right.
This is what's going to happen.
Would you still do it if Juan Soto was coming to the Jays, but there's an opt-out after year 3, and you're paying him $45 million per year throughout the entire contract? Would you still do it?
I'm still signing him regardless, but that's more to, like, again, that's just more of a we're terrible. And, like,
I think most teams would still sign that deal.
I think most teams would still do it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
we cross that bridge when we get there. Like, let's try to win right now.
Yeah.
Cross that bridge when we get there.
It certainly isn't what I would want, and I can understand how teams would not want to go in that direction.
No one would really want to do that.
No, I don't think anyone's going to want to do that.
You probably want Juan Soto more,
That's the thing, right? And I'm going to be curious to see, is any ball team going to be willing to negotiate like that? Or are they going to want, like, an absolute, this is what we have you for, this is what it's going to be, type thing. We're going all in together.
Because I think if it's all close, if one team is given that option, well, that's going to be the winner right there.
Could be.
And if that's the case, like, then he might. He might get that.
Yeah, could be, right. Well, here's the thing. If that's the only way that the Toronto Blue Jays can get him to come here is if they to agree with that, then I guess that's what it is.
And you know what? I totally get it. We're not a team that looks like we're going to win after year 3.
No.
So I completely understand if you want to do that.
Okay. In our situation, I guess so. But you guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about this entire Juan Soto situation? You want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video?
Yeah. Let's do that, guys. Let's give a real quick shout out to Betway. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code in this on the screen here, or click the link in the details section to join the action. Available in Ontario only. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. All right, more football. More football. Monday Night Football. Actually, a pretty good one.
It is a good game.
You're in L.A. L.A. Chargers are welcoming the Baltimore Ravens. A 7-4 team Ravens up against a 7-3 Chargers. Chargers are the underdogs by 2.3. That's actually really good. That's the money line.
I know, yeah. Like, so I'll tell you right now, insider info, both Adam and I were in like a pick'em league. A lot of people that watch football are in pick'em leagues and stuff. And I don't know what to pick in this game because, like, I do think that, pound for pound, I would say that the Ravens are a slightly better team, but a slightly better team because, like, they're 7-4. They've lost some games. They're not playing like their defense is not good this year.
No, the defense is not good.
And Lamar is phenomenal, obviously. So maybe a slightly better team pound for pound, but then you got the Chargers who are at home, kind of starting to cook with some gas. And on top of all of this, it's brother v. brother.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Literally,
Harbaugh.
it's like it's the Harbaugh Bowl, and it's like I feel like there's gonna be some fucky stuff going on. Like it's like who knows you better than your brother?
Yeah.
Your brother knows what you are gonna try to do to me. And so I'm gonna try to do that to you. I was
gonna say they probably played Madden growing up, but they're too old for that. So they probably had some backyard, plays
that's the thing, right?
up,
Like you got to imagine, like this is the guy that you talk to the most about all this stuff, right? And I don't know. I just think that there's going to be some weird stuff going on tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would go, and therefore I will take the underdog in any capacity when it comes to betting anyway.
Yeah, like I'm thinking about my pick'em league too. Like I was leaning Ravens because I was just like beginning of the week, I'm like, oh, Ravens. I wasn't really thinking about it. Like I look at teams, like go pound for pound Ravens.
I think they're as of right now. That's who I have, but I don't know if I'm going to stick with that.
I might switch just for fun. I would like for the Chargers to win. They're a pretty fun and exciting team. So those are the picks right now for the Monday Night Football, guys. You'll let us know in the chat who you would pick, and please scan the QR code and play responsibly. You must be 19 years or older in Ontario only.
Yeah. Shout out to Betway, guys. If you were to bet on the Boston Red Sox to go out and to make a big move, you'd be looking pretty good right now. There is a lot of talk going on about these Boston Red Sox. Yeah. We have a quote from one GM saying they've been so outspoken about their intentions. There's no way you talk that way unless you're absolutely sure you're signing one of those guys. And he's referring to the big guys right here. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them announce they've got one of those guys pretty soon. They're pretty confident. Now, some of the names that were brought up in this article, when we're talking about one of those guys, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Blake Snell, Willie Adames. It's the big names. It's the they're, and obviously they're also in on the Juan Soto as well.
And they're not just thinking about signing one. They might be thinking about two signings of the pitching market, the starting pitching market. They think they might get at least a Fried, a Snell, or Burns.
Yes.
Like, huh? I mean, yes, I've been saying for years, screaming at every podcast that the Boston Red Sox come up in, you guys need pitching.
Totally.
This market is filled with elite starting pitching talent, and you haven't really – I mean, yeah, you do have a larger payroll. I think you're in the top 10 still in payroll, but if you really want to go out and make a big splash, you go get two big guys. That would put you over the edge. And if you wanted to go get anybody else to fill out that lineup, that your lineup's already pretty decent in itself with Devers. Duran looks like a legitimate guy. Not Tanaka. Yoshida is in there. Like that's a solid three right there. If you go add another one, then your lineup's looking even better.
Well, and to speak about that pitching too, their pitching started off the year as in good. One of the best.
Tanner Houck, forgot about him. He was really good.
And so they do have a couple pieces there. And as the year went on, they started to lose a bit of steam. And I think I'm going to credit the fact that, a lot of those guys aren't the Corbin Burns or the Max Frieds of the world, But I think that you proved to yourself last year that, clearly the regiment that our pitching coaches and our pitching staff have here, it works. We can get the best out of our guys, and also too, we have a bit of a foundation here that if we bring in some more of the Corbin Burns or the Max Fried, then I think our pitching staff can hold up for the entire season and can bring us to a, potentially a postseason berth.
And, I did like what that pitching coaching did at the beginning of the year. I don't know. I'm not too familiar of why they fell off.
I'm just guessing that they lost the steam.
They could have lost the steam. My other guess could be did they they knew it worked off the beginning. They're like, this works. And then did the batter start making adjustments and other teams started making adjustments, and then they were gung ho and no, we got to stick with the program, and then. That always doesn't work in baseball if you just keep doing the same thing. I'm wondering, I don't know, if there's any Red Sox fans out there to have a better insight, let me know, because if that's the case, then all they got to do is come up with a plan B. Make the adjustment plan to their adjustment and go make it work. And that certainly will be helping a lot more if you add a Max Fried, Corbin Burns, or Blake Snell.
Or two of them.
Or two of them, right?
And you know what, as a Toronto Blue Jay fan, man, I hear this and immediately I'm like, I don't want you to do this because obviously the Boston Red Sox,
they're in the division.
Please, for the love of God,
just get out of here, bro.
Stop being good. But as a baseball fan, I think this is great, and I agree with you in the sense that we have been kind of screaming at the top of our lungs for years now that Boston needs to be more active. You are a big market team. You used to be, heralded as one of the spots, right? Historically speaking, right? It's you look at those early, 2000s with Big Papi and all these guys, right? The runs were great. And then you had that big-time World Series run in 2018. And then since then, it's just kind of felt like a slow decline. But you have enough pieces on that squad that if you add some more, like, I think that you're all the way back. I can see the Boston Red Sox, winning 90 games if they add a couple more pitchers. The fact that, you've just been around that 500 level, when your management does effectively jack shit all offseason for the last couple of years, like, that's impressive. And it goes to show that, like, what you do, the culture that you have there is a winning one. So, I mean, as a Toronto Blue Jay fan, I hate to hear that the Boston Red Sox are, like, coming to life right now because, like, God damn it, like, are you serious? I'd stay down, but this is the right move for them.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny. I think in the AL East, like, if there's only two big dogs in the AL East, which right now there are only two with the Orioles and the Yankees, you could be a competitive team if you add a third one in there. Like, we've seen it for years there when the Jays were competitive. It was always, Yankees and Boston, and then Orioles slipped in one year. But, like, there's always three very competitive teams in the AL East, and you can still make a playoffs in that division, it being the third of that division.
Yeah, right. And you look around, well, and also, too, right, like, you look around the American League in general, and, are the Detroit Tigers going to be as good as they were last year? Who knows?
Depends on what they do.
We'll see what happens, right? But, I mean, that's Central, like, there's a lot of teams that you could beat out record-wise for that final wild card spot. You look over at Houston Astros; they'll probably still be good, but they're not as dominant as they used to be. And Seattle Mariners, like, God only knows what happened. Are they going to be a wild card team? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know, right? Like, I think that, like, there's definitely room here to sneak into a playoff spot if you're the Boston Red Sox. Like,
absolutely.
What was the final playoff team? What, like 88 wins, 89 wins, something like
that.
Like, you can win 90 wins and make it in the postseason.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really do think, especially in the American League, the entire American League, like you're saying, this offseason, whoever makes, like, a lot of moves, whoever makes the most moves is going to have a drastic swing.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Because if you're looking at the Kansas City Royals, like, they had a very good team last year, but you saw how quickly the wheels fell off when they got to the postseason.
That's
they're not built enough like the New York Yankees.
I don't know if there is any, like, again, right now, maybe if the Yankees go out and do their backup plan or get Juan Soto back, then it'll be great. But as of right now today, I don't know if there's any, like, significant juggernaut in the American League. Whereas I look over at the National League, and I would argue that the LA Dodgers, obviously, and I think the Philadelphia Phillies. The New York Mets need to go out and make a bunch of moves.
They do.
And then maybe we can consider them in that same regard. Yeah. I would like to see the San Diego Padres make some other moves, and then maybe we can start talking about them in the same regard.
Right.
But there's nobody in the American League that I'm like, guarantee 100-win season.
No.
You're going to win the division. Like, there's no one. There isn't.
The fact that the Guardians, I would, like, argue, is the second best team is kind of sad.
Actually, now I would argue that the Guardians, as of right now, are the best team in the American League.
Oh, right, with the
without
rosters,
Juan Soto, with the roster that we're at right now today.
Yeah.
Granted, the Yankees are still going to do some stuff.
Yeah.
But today, they're the juggernaut. What?
In a healthy, competitive. Maybe this is arrogant for me to say, but a healthy, competitive American League, Guardians need to be the, like, fringe wild card team, or maybe they win their division, kind of team. Like, they can't be like this. Like, we got to step it up. So, that's why I think, like, Boston's being aggressive. We've heard the Blue Jays are trying to be uber aggressive. Orioles here and there. Orioles need to be aggressive, man. You've been gifted. You've heard them being.
Well, I heard, like, from the management group, the owners and stuff, that, like, they're going to be trying to do as much as possible to, and again, they do need to as well, right? Like, you're losing Corbin Burns, and you're losing Anthony Santander. Yeah. Now, I don't think that you need to bring those guys back necessarily, but you got to bring some people in, and then also, I guess the benefit for them is, like, well, we're assuming Jackson Holiday will take the next step,
right?
And if he does, well, that's like adding in a fucking all-star.
Yeah.
We're hoping that Kobe Mayo will become the guy that we think he should, which a lot of people think he should. So I think the Baltimore Orioles will be fine. They still got to do stuff, though. They still got to do stuff.
Yeah, they definitely got to do a little bit more, because. I mean, that pitching, like, it's just like the Boston Red Sox, like that pitching staff, man. It just needs. If you just add a guy, maybe two, then you're going to be good. Speaking of overpaying, we've been talking about him a little bit, but Bob Nightingale in this article says the Toronto Blue Jays are most likely to overpay this offseason. We've talked about it before. He brings it up, they only got 1 year of Vlad, 1 year of Bo left on the deals, and actually 1 year of Mark Shapiro, the president. So that's exciting news for Blue Jay fans right there. This will for sure be, hopefully it'll be the last time you see of him. But that's the big problem, too, is, like, they can't offer these guys, these big market players, their market value or even maybe a little bit higher. They can't do that because they all know, well, I don't want to get stuck on this losing franchise.
No,
so
there's so many things going on. It's
things.
Canada, it's the taxes, it's the management, it's everything. There's so many things going against us.
They got in a 74-win season. Like, you've got to overpay me now to convince me, and they're desperate enough, and they might. So, like, you're talking about, there's been speculations of Max Fried's contract, like 150s, 160 million. Dude, this guy could make like 180 coming to Toronto.
He might. Yeah, like we might go above and beyond for this stuff. And I think that's why he argues, talking about how there's 1 year of Shapiro and Guerrero and stuff, and that's why we're not going to end up with Juan Soto. But, he's also kind of doing a catch-22 on himself because the only reason that we're in the Juan Soto sweepstakes is because we are the most likely to overpay.
Exactly.
Right? We could go over the top and just do a fuck it offer there. The one thing that pisses me off about all this though is everyone's in agreement. The Toronto Blue Jays are desperate. Everyone's in agreement that they are probably going to overpay for these guys. What is so frustrating is why are they not overpaying then for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
Yeah.
Because you have that guy right now. And again, Bob Nightingale talks about this, and he's like, well, the reason that they're not going to get Juan Soto is because there's no direction on this team because you only have 1 more year of Vlad, and I get it. That makes sense. If I'm a free agent, I want to see where this team is going. If you're so desperate and you're so likely to overpay for these guys, well, how about we start with the guy that we already have?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And, to take a devil's advocate, because obviously I want Guerrero to be here, maybe Guerrero's like, I want to go test out free agency first. That's what I've been hearing. Like the rumblings, like everyone's like, well, of course he doesn't want to sign now because he wants to see how everyone else gets paid, and then go test out my season, have an even better season to like double down on that great last season, and then go get paid. Well, that's not definitely an argument, but you could also look at it this way. Well, we all hope that Guerrero was going to do exactly what he did last year, maybe even better, maybe a little bit worse, but still be around that ballpark. But what if he has an even worse year?
Exactly.
Like goes back to what he did 2 years ago. Vladdy's been up and down his whole career.
Yes.
What's to say he doesn't go, we're all assuming he's going to be great again, but we did that in 2021. What if he goes and regresses and your value gets lower? I'd say just sign the effing money now.
Well, that's why like you kind of got to overpay.
That's
right?
why
you got to give him an offer where it's like,
Yeah.
Can I sacrifice the risk here of having a bad year or getting injured, because what if he gets injured and then his free agency?
Exactly.
Now you're not getting shit.
Yeah.
Granted,
he's very healthy, but he's assuming
it's a risk.
He's
That's the
assuming
thing.
he's going to be healthy.
It's always a risk. There's the 162 games of baseball that you got to play. Any given moment, if you end up having to, get a big time surgery, well, now your value is like literally in the dump, right? And you look at somebody like a Pete Alonso as well. Pete Alonso's still going to get paid a lot, but he had a kind of middling year, right? A below average career year for him. Still going to get paid a lot, but if he would have had a phenomenal year, you could have heard conversations of him in the $300 million mark.
Right.
That's not the case anymore. Now it's like, well, Pete Alonso might get 200, 180, something like that.
Right.
Still great, but a similar thing could be said for Guerrero. Well, if Guerrero comes out and has a 780 OPS next year with 25 home runs, I'm not paying you 300 anymore. I don't think.
No,
I don't know. I don't even know what I'm paying you anymore, right? But it's certainly not that.
I think what there should be. They should do something very similar that the Yankees did with Garrett Cole, but in a little bit different. Where you sign this guy for a 10-year deal, and then maybe at year 5, if he is playing really well, and maybe there's some incentive, like we can have like an opt out, and then we could renegotiate
some type of reevaluation thing.
Like you could opt out, but we can get you right back if we pay you like X amount more. You know, that might help them right now.
Works for both parties, right? You can still get your money. We can still feel confident about it, type thing, and it will incentivize you to keep performing at a high level, which is ultimately all we all want. That's what everyone wants.
I think it's a great deal. Yeah, for these long-term deals, you got to do that. I think
that's the thing, right? Because it always pisses me off when these guys sign these. Like you look at somebody like a Javier Baez, he's actually just stealing money.
He's stealing money.
It's same with Anthony Rendon. Yeah. Now Rendon's dealt with a lot of injuries, but you can also tell like this guy does not give a fuck.
No.
Right? And we need you to care.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? You're going to deal with injuries. You're going to have times where you're streaky and it's not going well. But, like, for the amount of money that we're paying you, we should at least be buying you to care. And those guys don't even care.
No,
right? So there's got to be a reason for them to keep caring, and if the only reason is money, then this is how you do it. You have you have it built into the contract.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, guys, I think we should just like clip that and send that to Ross Atkins and Mark Sparrow.
But
it literally makes sense.
That's this is what everyone's saying.
Yeah.
Right? This is what everybody's talking about when you speak about the Toronto Blue Jays. You go, okay, well, yeah, they're likely to overpay for these other guys and whatever, but there's no direction here because we have not got this deal done yet. So it just frustrates me to no end that they're willing to overpay for somebody like a Max Fried, which is still a great deal, and I'd be happy for him to come to Toronto. And I think that is a good move for that franchise to make. But you're not gonna, you're not seeing the writing on the wall here, which is we need to be overpaying for this guy right now to then, build off of that.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, literally Jose Barrios came out and spoke about that into a Spanish reporter saying like, well, we first things we got to sign Vlad and then we can make other moves. Like that's duh.
That's step one.
That's like your biggest selling point to any free agent. Oh yeah, so we just extended Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to a 10-year deal. He's going to be with us, and you're gonna pitch for him. Great.
Okay,
that makes sense to me.
There's at least somebody else here that I respect that's going to be here for a long period of time.
Let me tell you. Now it's just like we got this guy. His name is Ernie Clement.
Springer.
And George Springer. Yeah, and we got some Barger, got some pedigree. It's like no, like we need Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, it's like there's got to be and I get it, right? If you're a free agent, like I fully understand. So that's what's going on right now with the Toronto Blue Jays. Before we get to the next thing, quick shout out here to Greta Bar, everybody. Go check them out. Located downtown Toronto. Great games, great food. We know that they're a big-time hockey bar as well. Like love the hockey over there. So now that we're in the thick of hockey season, if you at all are interested in the NHL, head on there for Saturday night hockey type thing. Great vibes.
Yeah, love it. A couple more notes here from Bob Nightingale that I like to talk about is looking back at the Alex Bregman contract. There's so many good little rumor nuggets in here, but Alex Bregman, he supposedly wanted that $300 million deal. It's now apparently down to $200 million.
Well, in 200s at least we can talk. You know what I mean?
Now.
Yeah, we can talk because 300 was insane.
Yeah, 200. There'd have to be some like major years added to that, or maybe an opt out or whatever.
Tell you what, man, I could see the Toronto Blue Jays doing it.
Probably.
Right? You want to talk about a team that's willing to overpay? Like, I could see Alex Bregman signed to a 7-year, $200 million deal in Toronto Blue Jays.
Damn.
I know, right?
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't want it, but that is like actually realistic. So we're at least in the part of reality where we can discuss or start to talk about things. I don't think he's worth that. The Houston Astros think he's worth about $156 million, or at least that's what's rumored that they've offered him.
I could see him going somewhere between there. 156 and 200.
Yeah, you know what? I ultimately like probably with your career and what you've done in the past, the fact that you did just win a Gold Glove, and we anticipate that you're at your worst going to be like a mid 700 OPS guy with great defense, and at your best you're going to be an all-star 180.
Yeah,
I think that is like a fair evaluation for who you are and everything.
He's going to give you, hopefully, for the first few years of the contract, like a 4 WAR every year. I mean, it's 4.6, 4.9, 4.1. Those are his last 3-year WAR, F WAR. And then the bat has been 820, 804, 768 OPS.
What was Matt Chapman's contract that he signed back in the day?
Like this past year?
Yeah.
It was I think it was like 168. What was it here? 1 year? No, I don't have it here on Baseball Reference. I think it was like around 150 to 160.
Let me take a look at it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's because like are the career numbers between the two of them like pretty similar?
Oh well, Matt Chapman had an incredible season of WAR, 7.1 WAR he had this last year, and he's 1 year older, so that's one thing to note. And he had the better bat. He had a better OPS last year, so he literally was better than Chapman in all assets of the game.
Or Bregman.
Bregman, excuse me, yeah.
In 2023, though?
In 2024, Chapman was better than Bregman.
But when did he sign his contract?
Yeah, this summer. Like, literally this summer.
Like mid-season?
Yeah, like he signed like a player opt-out, and then he signed the big extension mid-season.
Okay, yeah. So he signed for a 6-year, $151 million deal.
Yeah, I think that's
I mean, like, I do think that in the terms of their career, Bregman has been better than Matt Chapman.
Right.
Is he going to be significantly better than him moving forward? Tough to know.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit with the bat, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm gonna stick with my 180 million. I feel like that's like a good landing spot for Bregman.
And he's 1 year younger too, so I guess there's like the other.
That's another element.
Year right
sure,
there.
That's another. Honestly, that right there is another $25 million.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
I could see that. I could see that happening. So that's a little nugget right there for Alex Bregman. Speaking of another third baseman who's a former Gold Glover, Arenado's been thrown around in trade conversations everywhere. St. Louis Cardinals aren't totally planning to rebuild, which kind of disagree with. I think like you guys have tried this core for many years now, and it's kind of losing steam right now. But they are willing to ship off one piece of that core, which is Arenado, who's got $52 million remaining on his contract. But the Rockies are responsible for $4 million in each final 3 seasons. Got to imagine they got to eat up a little bit more as well to convince another team to take him out, or like at least add some sort of prospects there.
Interesting to see how people evaluate Nolan Arenado, because obviously, like, you know, I think that we can all agree you're going to get incredible defense with him.
Oh, yeah.
The question is, well, do we believe that the bat is going to bounce back? If we believe the bat's going to bounce back, I'll pay for the whole goddamn thing.
Right.
Because I know that, you know, he's a great defender, and I know that, you know, like if the bat's going to bounce back, he's going to be well worth everything. But he's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
It is starting. What is he, 32, 33 years old
He's
right
going to
now?
be 34 next year.
34 years old right now. So, you know, you start to wonder about all that. I still think that there's at least one more good season of Nolan Arenado left with the bat. I think that, honestly, like, there was just a bit of a cancer in St. Louis last year. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt, who is always good at baseball, was no longer good at baseball. In fact, everybody on St. Louis was not good at baseball. Like, literally everyone was bad.
Baseball
so, I mean, I think that he needs to change the scenery. I think a lot of guys do in that squad. I would certainly be happy if my team wanted to pick him up, but yeah, I would prefer it if there's a way to get out of that contract.
Like if I couldn't get Bregman, I might consider an Arenado thing. Yeah, like I'm looking at the last couple of years. 2022 an 891 OPS, and it fell down to 774. You're like, okay, well, that's kind of sad. And then it dropped down even more to 719. Maybe he bounced up to mid 700.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like 774 OPS with Gold Glove defense. I think that's well worth it. You know?
He only had 2.5 WAR last year. Maybe that was mostly the bat, but yeah. I mean,
let me take a look at his baseball savant right here.
Take a look at it. Like again, like if they want to send off another prospect our way too as well to like sweeten the deal, like I would be happy with that. But man, it's sad. It's sad when you see a guy that's like been so great for so long, and it's like you're starting to see him taper off just a little bit.
Well, 95 percentile on outs above average fielding. So
that's very good.
I mean, the guy was still like defensively sound as all holy hell.
So you lock down a good defensive third baseman, and you just roll the dice on the bat and see. Because how many more years does he have in his deal? He's he's signed till 2027.
$52 million. So what is that averaging? That's not even that bad. Like,
yeah, no, that's not that bad at all. 9 years.
It's like what, $18 million a year, $17 million a year?
Not even that much.
Like that's
I can't even do the math, but yeah,
kind of okay to me, you know.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
I don't know. Like
I like it.
I think it would be an okay deal. Like,
I don't mind it. Yeah.
In fact, I think I would even prefer that than overpaying a shitload for Alex Bregman.
Yeah, because then at least like when the age hits Nolan Arenado, it's like all right, like but whatever. Bye.
Whatever. Not a huge big deal. Whereas like Alex Bregman, like I mean, I could start to see the fall off. Honestly, pretty soon, and
it could happen, it could happen at any moment.
Probably you're going to be paying almost double, like in terms of average annual value for him. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
I think I'd prefer Arenado just in terms of all of those different things, but interesting to see what happens there with him.
Yeah, it will be interesting. And then, like, I guess one final note, we're almost done this podcast, but if you were to grade the Brady Singer, Jonathan India, Reds Royals trade,
I like India.
Yeah.
I also like Singer. I mean, I got to familiarize myself a bit more with exactly, what the Royals need, what the Reds need.
Yeah, I was reading like Royals, they really needed a leadoff guy in front of Bobby Witt Jr., which I get. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. was the only guy on that team. And granted, they really wanted a second baseman, like a sure second baseman, and the market was literally like Gleyber Torres. And it's like they're like, we don't really get Gleyber Torres. Let's go get Jonathan India for a little bit cheaper. And then the Reds just needed pitching, and Royals got a lot of pitching. So for me, I kind of grade it like two teams that needed a thing, and they went and they made the trade, and that's not going to really change a whole lot.
No, and I mean, like I think India India's a good player. Like
Mm-hmm.
India's a good baseball player, right? This is a Rookie of the Year winner, and I know he's a couple of years removed from that. But you go over there, get a bit of a change of scenery, have Bobby Witt Jr. bat behind you.
Yeah.
Could I see him have a very solid season? Yeah, I think I could. I could see a low 800 OPS in the future of Jonathan India.
That's the upside right there.
For sure, right? Like being as young as he is and having the talent, I don't think that you're gonna see him get worse.
No.
Like I genuinely think like we've kind of seen the floor of India, and I think I want to see the ceiling again now.
Yeah, because like he did drop down to 705 in 2022, and then it went back up 2023, and he's kind of been around that like average 750 OPS over the bats. Like we kind of know what the bat is at this point. He's a mid 200s hitter, mid 700 OPS hitter. Like if you're okay with that, with the on base, which is pretty good actually. His on base is 100 points higher than his batting average. So if you want to throw that guy up in the top of the lineup, you can feel pretty good about it.
Exactly, right? Like he'll get on base for Bobby, and then people have got to throw to Bobby, and whatever. You look at somebody like a Brady Singer too. Good year last year, 179 innings and 3.71 ERA.
Yeah.
The year prior, he had a 5.52 ERA.
Yeah,
it's
shaky.
like it really is super shaky with this dude. So like Brady Singer's certainly got talent, but like is he a locked in guarantee? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think I honestly prefer this more for the Royals than I do for the Reds.
Yeah, and the Royals have a deep pitching staff too, and they've been kind of waiting for Brady Singer to break out. He did again, great year last year. Like I'd be very happy with that.
Very good.
That's a very solid rotational guy, but they needed a priority in the leadoff guy, and they went and dressed it. And I hope it's not the only move they make this offseason.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? There's a lot of starters out there too. You want to get a new Brady Singer? You can find him on free agency, folks. Let us know your comments or your thoughts, in the comments down below. But everything that we talked about today, we imagine that things are going to be heating up a lot as time goes on. So hit that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with everything MLB offseason here on Bad for Baseball.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button like Nick's saying, and we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.